So recently I attended an amazing event by Tony Robbins in Sydney called Unleash the Power Within. And here are my 3 key takeaways from that inspiring and transformative event. So first off, I want to give you a little behind the scenes of the kind of stuff that went on at Unleash the Power Within, like this.
If you're in this room right now, you're one of the few who do, not the many who talk. So claim it and don't let it go. Feel in your body and ownership of who you are.
We also did a lot of this. So you can see when you put 8,000 people in an arena who are all there to improve their lives and become their best selves, that you get some powerful energy. You get some amazing juju going on in that event, helped obviously by the Tony Robbins, who's like 6'7" and just inspired. This guy lives and breathes energy, love, and personal growth. He has been doing this for 41 years. And by this, I mean he is the #1 personal growth coach in the world. He can charge up to $1 million for one coaching client for 3 hours of his time. And he supposedly has a 24-month waitlist. So, assuming that you can't work with Tony one-on-one just yet, you could go to one of his events like Unleash the Power Within. And Tony is one of those incredible people who has just given his all. As I said, 41 years of speaking from the stage, writing incredible books, putting out his audio sets, putting out a number of different programs, and really just giving his all so that we can all live amazing lives. And as he says, there's always room in your life for thinking bigger, pushing limits, and imagining the impossible. So what did I personally learn from this 4 days, which covered a lot, by the way? So if I read it off here, day 1 was all around the elements of practical psychology, going into the 6 core human needs and really looking further into yourself and what makes you tick, and also around why we think the way we think. The second day was all around neuroassociative conditioning, which to me was really, really fascinating. Much more about the psychology of how our brain works, and also figuring out the 3 steps to momentum, the 5 keys to thriving. A puppy just made a little appearance. And we also looked at closing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, which is why I cover off in my free video series that is out right now about how to develop a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, but a growth mindset, and also how to create more of your perfect days, because it just baffles me that more of us don't consider exactly how we want to spend our time, with who, where, and doing whatever lights us up. So please check that out, because I've popped the link below this vlog in the description. And while you're here, just give me a little thumbs up if you're enjoying this. Okay, day 3 was fascinating because that was called Transformation Day. And once again, we were in there for 12 hours and Tony took us through this really powerful exercise. First on the wheel of life and where we're kind of in balance or out of balance in relationships, health, career, growth, family, you name it, we went through it. And then we actually went through a limiting belief exercise, which was called the Theickens Process. And what it was that you had to come up with 3, for now, limiting beliefs that you held. And then for 3.5 hours, we stood with our eyes shut with music and all sorts and Tony guiding us through as we took one of those limiting beliefs and we took it to its worst possible state. So imagine if this limiting belief continued to be with you until you were 70 or 80, how would that affect not only you, but your family, your friendships, your relationships, every aspect of your life? Now, the thing about this is, and I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of people with a lot of pain and hurt and disappointment in that room. And part of the process was to take yourself to the depths of that and beyond. There were people crying, shrieking, yelling, screaming. And I personally found it hard to progress past a certain point because I usually have a really positive outlook and frame on life. I can see perspectives, I can see solutions. So to just have this one dire path of how badly a couple of my limiting beliefs could affect my life and other people felt like it came to a natural stop at one point where I was like, really, this probably wouldn't happen. But then I decided to just release and keep going and take it through it and really take myself to this hopeless place of despair, having hurt people, having lost money, because my limiting belief was around my capacity to earn an impact. And that I was kind of putting ceilings on what I was capable of earning and how much impact I could make. And so it got to this point where I was, and I'm going to share this with you, that I took mine right out to the other side, where I was actually crying and apologizing, because in my belief at its worst, I was homeless. I'd lost money for myself, for my family, for my friends. I had no friends. I had no family really that cared for me anymore. And I was homeless and just feeling like a complete failure. Now, that may sound really freaking harsh, but taking myself out the back door and imagining what was the worst possible scenario of me not truly living up to my capabilities and really going for it in life and really pushing my boundaries and knowing that I'm enough and that I'm worth it and that I can do this and that I'm capable of achieving whatever I want, was really powerful for me. And then he doesn't just leave you there. By that stage, everybody was so like, I don't want this belief anymore. I don't even believe it. This sucks. This is terrible. This is holding me back. You go through this reframing process and you replace it with a new positive belief, an empowering belief. And then you actually repeat this and repeat this and repeat this until you're truly actually putting it into your physiology and believing it. If this all sounds completely weird and woo-woo to you, all I can say is please just go to either Unleash the Power Within or Date with Destiny and see this neuroconditioning process and the Theickens process in action. Go through it with an open mind. Do it for yourself if you want to create real change. So that was a really, really powerful day. And then the fourth day was all about pure energy and how do we live with more energy? What do we need to eat? How do we need to perform to be at our best? And seeing these people up on stage for 12-hour days who were in their 50s and 60s with tons of energy and leading us through these crazy dances. Let's cut to that video one more time. Was just astounding to so many of us, and they're clearly living and breathing what they speak and preach and teach. So that I loved that day, because I'm all about how do we perform at our optimum, how do we live an optimal life, and how everything that we put into our body and everything that we think obviously translates into how we perform, act, behave, and grow. Lots of work to do on all these fronts, I'm not going to lie. So my 3 key takeaways from this entire event was, 1, invest in yourself. Go to more events where you are expanding your mind, your body, and your soul. It has been a long time since I've been to an event that was purely about my growth and around learning a ton. And it made me realize how important that is and how important it is to do right. So one of the things that Tony talked about during the weekend was going to the best of the best if you want to learn. Now, granted, he works with presidents, coaches, celebrities, and so he can probably approach the best of the best in pretty much about any area and say, hey, teach me how to be the best. But it also highlighted to me that, let's say right now, I'm actually in the process of getting a tennis coach and improving my game so much so that I could actually play at Masters level for New Zealand and maybe beyond. Now, this has come about more recently. I've always loved tennis. I love playing the game, but I've often thought, where did I not give my all to tennis? Could I have actually played on a professional stage? I love competing. I love sport. And I particularly love about tennis is it's so much about your mindset. It's 90% mindset, 10% physical. And it's one of those sports that's always captured my imagination, and I love watching it. I've been to every single Grand Slam, and I've followed it since I was a kid, and I've been playing since I was 10. And I was like, what would it take for me to be the best of the best at this age right now? And who could I learn from and throw myself into their training around nutrition, form, skills, fitness, and just how far could I go? And I immediately thought, well, I'll get a local coach and, I'll start out that way. But I was like, if I was Tony, I would find the best coach in New Zealand, or maybe even Australia, or maybe in the world, and I'd go and approach them and see what was possible. And if I couldn't learn from them, I'd learn from the next best or the next best. But the point is, you wouldn't just go for anybody, right? And the same applies when you're getting a business coach or a fitness coach or anybody that you are looking to learn off. You need to go to the best of the best, and you need to model and emulate the best of the best. And then along with that, you need to repeat what you've learned. You need to teach it to others. It's the fastest way to learn. You need to be persistent and determined and repetitive about your learning. And that's why I loved after this event, they gave you a 10-day challenge to embark on so that you wouldn't just stop. You wouldn't just take this book with all these amazing learnings and then go, oh, I'm changed for life. You need to be a master of your own life, and you need to keep learning and being curious and growing and becoming your very best self. That was lesson 1, and it was in 2 parts. The first part is that you must invest in yourself to continue to learn, and you must attend events, retreats, workshops, courses or offerings that really are targeting exactly what you want to learn. And the second part to that was learn from the best of the best and never give up learning and applying. The second thing that I took away from it was, as I mentioned, the limiting beliefs exercise. Super powerful, and how important it is for us to be constantly working on our mindset. Just the things that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves that are so old and so often not true and certainly not serving us. That was just a massive eye-opener. And I think intrinsically we know this stuff, right? But how often do we just keep saying the same old stories, the same prejudice, the same judgments, the same truths that aren't truths anymore to ourselves about what we're not capable of, what we can't do, how this is somebody else's fault, how we've only managed to do this, how we'll never achieve that, and replace it with what we're entirely capable of, what is entirely possible, and really stretch ourselves. So the whole limiting beliefs and continuing to work on conditioning this, because what we think is what becomes our reality, but the mind doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary, so you might as well feed it exactly the story that you want to actually make come true. Does that make sense? My favorite quote from the whole weekend was, "Where focus goes, energy flows." And that has been such a truism in my life, is that when I'm focused on the thing that I want to achieve, all my energy goes into that. And when I fully focus on it and all my energy is focused on it, it's incredible what you can achieve. But when you're half-hearted about stuff and your energy's split up between so many different to-dos and tasks and different things going on in your life, guess what happens? Your life's chaotic and sporadic, and you're not really achieving or excelling or doing well in any of the areas that you're trying to focus on. And the third part for me was around getting your power team together. So I talk about having your dream team. In fact, it's in my free video series in the 3rd video where I talk about delegating your dislikes so you can focus on doing what you love. And for me, it is absolutely imperative that you start hiring talented people to help you to stay true to what your super strengths are and to allow them to do the work that they can do even better than you can, so that you can focus on what you do best. And I have a great dream team at the moment. Constant shift though, right? Like, you need to bring people in, you need to move people on, you need to grow, they need to grow with you. But have you ever thought about your own personal advisory board? Mentors, coaches, and peers who can teach you, who can stretch you, who can challenge you, who can push you, who can inspire you to be the best. And this is something that I have not often had around me. I've often been a business strategist and coached thousands of others, but I haven't had that for myself. I've never actually had a coach. I have had very, very few mentors. And I definitely haven't had advisors or even investors in my business. And it's something that I want and will make happen more than anything in the next 6 months. I kid you not. So that was one of the most powerful things that came out of it for me, is who can I learn from that's the best of the best and emulating what I want to achieve in my next phase of growth, both personally and professionally. What mentors can I work with and talk to at least once a month who are experts in their different areas. And also, which peers do I want to surround myself with? Because you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with most. So who do I really love, admire, and want to hang out with, who will make me into the best version of myself simply being in their company? So just recapping. 1, invest in yourself for learning mastery. Go to the best of the best, learn from them, master it, implement it. Repetition is key. Second thing, work on your limiting beliefs. Constantly be working on this beautiful thing that commands so much of your life. You might as well have the best possible mindset there is so you can lead the best possible life. Don't let this rule your life. You master your own mindset. And the third thing is build your dream advisory team around you. Surround yourself with awesome people. Surround yourself with those people who know how amazing you can be, and you will absolutely go in that direction. I'm excited. I'm excited. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. You can tell I was at Tony Robbins UPW, can't you? And one more time. Let's just have Tony doing that.
Let me hear you.